Lowell in Salem, Oregon, watching us on Free Speech TV on your local cable system. Hey, Lowell, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hey, Mark, Congressman Pocan and Thom. I'm a big fan of both of yours. One of the things I wanted to ask about the new proposed bill to eliminate to eliminate the Johnson amendment for taxes on churches is historically Democrats have been bad at negotiating. You know, for example, in the 80s, we doubled the taxes on Social Security, but didn't raise the cap on Social Security, which seems like a terrible negotiating strategy. How can we ensure that churches start paying taxes once we eliminate the Johnson Amendment?
So if I can take it a little broader in Lowell, and hopefully I'm still answering your question, but I think because what you brought up is on so many different issues, and your example that you gave was a good example. One of the things that we have to do is keep pressure not just on Republicans, but also on your Democrats. Because while they may be with you on many, many issues, we also have to give them that reinforcement of spine to be able to stand up and do the best they can to fight for what the people want. And right now, the people are really organized. And if we do that, we watch that make the Senate stand up to a lot of the appointments and to stand up to an appointment for the Supreme Court to really make sure that we're hearing from the people. A lot of us are starting to say that the recourse we may need to have is the recourse all the way up to impeachment if things don't change out of the White House. But in order to make sure that we say those things and are willing to stand by those things, we need the pressure from you, Lowell, and other people who agree with you on things. Don't forget your Democratic reps as well. The only thing I would say specifically is just we get a lot of people who are angry who contact us. It's sometimes good to say the message in a positive way. You know, thank you for what you've been doing. We appreciate you voting on X or voting, you know, not supporting whoever to be a cabinet secretary. I hope that you'll, when this amendment comes up on the Johnson Amendment on taxes, that we'll make sure that we don't lose ground and that we do this or that. I think if you do it in a positive way, that can go a lot farther as well. But keep everyone working on this in every possible way.
Cool. Mike in Spooner, Wisconsin. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Hey, thanks, Thom. Hi, Congressman Pocan. It's good to talk to you. The question that I had this morning is regarding gerrymandering. Mm-hmm. Here in northern Wisconsin, Sean Duffy has a stranglehold on this district. The Republicans redistricted the area almost. I know in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, it was street by street. They redrew the district. The Democratic streets went to Ron Kine's district, and the more Republican-leaning streets were redistricted into.
Mike, we're running out of time here. Quick question. Mike?
Pardon me?
Mike, we're about 30 seconds, 20 seconds from hitting the break.
Okay, my question is, what can we do about the problem with gerrymandering in this district?
Yeah, so this is true in Wisconsin, but across the country. Right now there is a lawsuit. Now it's going to look at the state legislative races, not the federal races. But we have to be ready for 2018 because whoever we elect to be governors and legislative majorities across the country in 2018 will draw the lines for the next decade. That's why 2018 has to have the same turnout we have in presidential races, not the down turnout that we often have in the off cycle, because that's how you're going to affect redistricting.
Bill in St. Helens, Oregon. Hey, Bill, you're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Yeah, hi, Congressman Pocan.
Hi, Bill.
I'm watching a president nominating people to cabinet posts, coming in with a clear agenda that they're not going to represent the interests of the American people. I'm looking at an entire party running our country that denies climate change. I'm looking at executive orders being put out with no forethought or research at all. I guess I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but at what point do our representatives delegitimize themselves when they refuse to hold themselves accountable and they refuse to take any action, and they're basically clearly not looking out for the best interests of the American people? I'm really concerned.
No, I hear you, Bill. And, right now watching the House Republicans completely roll over while, President Trump does whatever he wants to and not standing up to him on things that previously anyone would have stood up to is a good example of what you're saying. let me be as blunt as possible. Elections have consequences. And unfortunately, in Wisconsin, for example, 200,000 fewer people came out and voted for the Democrats, for the Democratic nominee for president. Let me restate that. Than the previous cycle 4 years earlier, and we lost Wisconsin by 22,000 votes. Now, a big part of that is Democrats have to make sure they're reaching out and talking to everybody because we left a lot of votes. A lot of people didn't get out and vote. My home county, Kenosha County, it went 13 points Obama to 1 point Trump. And if you look deeper, it's even more important. Only 1,000 more people voted for Trump, but 9,000 people didn't vote for Hillary Clinton that voted for Barack Obama, and 3,000 of them voted for a third-party candidate. 6,000 stayed home. But that's the consequence of the election. So what we have to do is make sure that 2018 has as high a level. All the people who are active and upset right now have to maintain that to 2018, because if we change the faces of people who won't change their policies in Congress, you can have a Congress that might support what you and I support, and then we can actually have some reform with redistricting coming up.
Omar in Herndon, Virginia. You're on the air with Mark Pocan. Congressman Mark Pocan.
Tom, thank you for taking my call. Mark Pocan, Congressman, you are the next Bernie Sanders, so get ready, okay?
Thank you, Omar.
I just have two quick questions. What are we doing to win back Congressman Tom Price's seat in Georgia? Because Trump won like by 1 point. What are the Democrats doing to win it back? And then what are we doing to win back the House, the Senate, and the White House? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Omar.
Yeah, Omar, great question. So I'm going to go broad, but I'm going to come back to specifically what you asked. So we have been meeting already, going through recruitment for candidates around the country, trying to find, start identifying the districts, because I think there are a lot more districts where we saw some trends that they're moving into the right direction and where we think we can try to pick up the seats we need to take the majority. And good progressives are involved with that. Jan Schakowsky, myself, Keith Ellison, Pramila Jayapala, Jamie Raskin, et cetera. People are out there working really hard in identifying candidates. Specifically to that Georgia seat, it's kind of like a jungle primary situation, so it's not like there's a Democrat and a Republican. It's going to be a bunch of people. There are a couple Democrats, I believe, in the race. I know there are quite a few Republicans in the race. But clearly, we've been meeting with a lot of the different people. Some of them are more progressive, and we're hoping that we can get someone through that primary who can win the race, knowing that it's going to be a lower turnout because it is a special election, which will happen. If we make sure it doesn't have a lower turnout because we're focusing on the grassroots and getting people out to vote, we will have a better chance to win that election. So I can assure you people are working on that, and if even it's not as overt as people may be looking for, there are a lot of efforts happening because that seat, I agree with you, can certainly be a competitive seat where the Democrats can win much more than the other seats that are up with the nominations that have been made by President Trump.
Russ in Portland, Oregon. Russ, thanks for listening to X-Ray FM. You're on the air with Congressman Pocan.
Yeah, Congressman Pocan, I heard Chris Murphy, the senator from Connecticut, say on MSNBC that if the Republicans try and take down Medicare and Social Security, they cannot use budget reconciliation, and I'm not sure that's correct. What do you know about that?
Well, it depends on what you mean by take down. For example, in order to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, there are provisions that affect Medicare. Once they're in there, they can do other tinkering, and even if you don't wholesale take out a program, you can gut a program and leave the skeleton in the skin to still be there. So there are ways to do that. I think the real challenge is, and I don't get lost in the semantics, but I mean, there's many ways you can go after those programs and affect them when you have a Republican House and Senate and President. The way we defeat it, though, is just the way that we stop them from when they tried to gut the ethics laws for Congress, when we stopped Jason Chaffetz from introducing a bill to open up over 2 million acres of public land for sale, just like when we stopped Andy Puzder's nomination, is we get active and we reach out and call people. And the more they know that Social Security and Medicare, it's your money, it's your earned benefit, and they better not tinker with it or else they better find another job. That's the single best thing, and we need to keep that pressure on because those are two programs that I think are two of the most popular programs we have, if they go after it, I think that will be a deadly blow for them electorally, and we have to make sure that it becomes that kind of a blow if they go there.
That's Waterloo. Patricia, we have just a minute left. Real quick question for Congressman Pocan.
Yeah,
Patricia in Portage, Wisconsin. Excuse me.
Doing on the wolf effort to take back them to the states for killing. Is it possible to take out the courts in legislation? I thought they were the third branch of government and they could not be excommunicated in law, in the legislation.
The Protect the Endangered Species Act, I guess.
Yeah, Patricia, again, I mean, with the courts, what we're right now dealing with is the Supreme Court nomination. But in our region where you live in Portage, they've held up. The Republicans have held up people in the 7th district for now 4+ years. We haven't had someone, I think it's 4 years that we haven't had someone in there. There's a lot they can do in trying to shape the courts, but at least that's our best place right now in many ways to fight back on these. Since we don't have the legislative branch and we don't have the executive branch, we need to really rely on that judicial branch. And a lot of people don't follow judicial politics as much. We need to be as active in judicial politics as we are in legislative politics.
Yeah, and the Republicans got there first. I mean, they're over half of all federal judges now are Republican appointed.
Absolutely, and even back in Wisconsin, again, we have organizations that will fully fund people who run for the Supreme Court. People who, quite honestly, are barely qualified to be circuit court judges are running for Supreme Court and winning because they have a lot of money behind them, and we can't let that happen.
Wow. Congressman Mark Pocan, his Twitter is Mark Pocan or @ Mark Pocan, his website, pocan.house.gov. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us today.
Absolutely, Tom. Anytime. Thank you.
Great talking to you. We'll be back.